General Hospital chaos erupts. Michael's fate hangs in the balance while Willow takes control and Britt Westbourne scrambles to keep her secrets hidden. So here we are again, folks, watching Port Charles absolutely implode on itself, and honestly, can anyone even keep track of what's happening anymore? Because it feels like every single character is spiraling in their own unique way, and let me tell you, Monday, February 9th is going to be one of those episodes where you'll need a notepad just to track all the drama unfolding simultaneously across multiple storylines. Michael Corinthos, that poor, tortured soul, is sitting there contemplating his worst fear, which, let's be real, is probably getting arrested and charged with shooting Drew Kane, even though we all know by now that Curtis Ashford was the one who orchestrated that whole thing back in December, when he told Selena he wanted Drew dead that very night. But the PCPD being the PCPD, they've got their sights set on Michael instead, and you know what? Maybe that's what happens when you're a Corinthos, because trouble just follows that family like a shadow. But wait, so in the sum, they be ever somewhat of videos wanna choose, and I have the C, and perfectly, and never won. Let's back up, because Willow, this woman who shot Drew, and now she's vowing to Drew himself that his days of controlling her are completely over, which is just chef's kiss. Level audacity when you think about it, because she's literally still his nurse, still in charge of his care, and making these bold declarations about how she's the one in control now, and Drew has ruined her life as far as she's concerned. But hasn't she also kind of ruined her own life by, you know, shooting someone and then orchestrating this elaborate frame job on her ex-husband Michael by planting a key to Drew's house on Michael's keychain, hoping it would lead to him going down for the crime? The layers here, people, the absolute layers of deception and manipulation. It's like watching a Russian nesting doll of dysfunction, where you open one doll and find another, even more messed up doll inside. And it just keeps going forever. So, wive, And Brooklyn Quartermain, bless her, she's always been the one who can read Michael like a book, and she's sensing that he fears the worst, asking him point blank, "You think you're going to be arrested and charged with shooting Drew, don't you?" Which, according to the preview video, is exactly what she says, and Michael should indeed be worried, because Harrison Chase, that Boy Scout detective, is sitting there looking all pensive over Michael's keychain, which Willow planted that key on, hoping to frame him, and it's working so far. The plan is actually working. Harrison Chase, who used to be married to Willow, and now he's investigating a case where evidence is pointing toward his ex-wife's ex-husband, while his ex-wife is the actual shooter. But he doesn't know that yet. Or does he? Does Chase suspect something? Because the spoilers mention Dante, Falconeri getting into some kind of argument at General Hospital, demanding to know, "How far do you think you can push me?" And the question is, who is he even talking to? Is it Chase about the shooter case, because those two have been going back and forth about this investigation? Or is it Britt Westbourne, because she's also got her own drama happening simultaneously? He's are this so by. He snowed dead it just... Oh, right, Britt. Dr. Britt Westbourne, who was moonlighting at Windermere, which Elizabeth Baldwin is calling her out for being late because of, and Britt has to maintain this fake concierge doctor story to hide whatever truth she's hiding about her work in the lab. Which, honestly, what is she even doing in that lab? Is it something nefarious, or is it something that's actually going to help someone? Because with Britt, you never really know her. Motivations are always this interesting mix of self-preservation and genuine desire to do good, but she gets in her own way constantly. Elizabeth is going to end up playing referee at some point during Friday's episode, which makes sense because Elizabeth has always been the voice of reason the steady presence in the hospital, even when everyone around her is losing their minds. And honestly, someone needs to be the adult in the room when Dante is demanding answers and Britt is pushing back during some fight. And who knows who else is going to get involved in whatever confrontation is brewing. Are we expressed this as a Macree's 90s goad to a 7-9? Fragmented thought. Jacinda Bracken. She's worried. Opening up to Christina Corinthos Davis about her concerns that her relationship with Michael is too good to be true, which, let me just say, if I were dating Michael Corinthos right now, with everything that's swirling around him, the custody battle with Willow, the potential criminal charges for a shooting he didn't commit, the fact that his ex-wife is spiraling into full villain territory, I would also think it was too good to be true. Because how can anyone sustain a relationship under that kind of pressure? Christina, though, ever the optimist, is looking forward to Michael proving Jacinda wrong, reassuring her that Michael is dedicated and encouraging her to have faith, which is sweet, really it is. But also Christina doesn't know the half of what's coming down the pipeline, because Michael is about to potentially get arrested and charged with attempted murder. Or actual murder, depending on whether Drew survives all of this in the long run, and how exactly is that going to impact his relationship with Jacinda, who already has concerns about their future. Can we talk about the custody situation, though, because that's really the heart of all of this, isn't it? Michael negotiating with Willow, trying to cut a favorable custody deal before DA Justine charges him with Drew's shooting, because if he waits until after, he's charged Michael could lose everything, lose access to his kids, lose any leverage he has in negotiations, and Willow knows this. Willow is absolutely playing this to her advantage, which is why she hasn't agreed to anything yet. According to the spoilers, she's at Diane Miller and Alexis Davis's office telling Michael she hasn't agreed to anything and she's holding all the cards right now. Diane and Alexis trying to mediate this situation must be pulling their hair out because these two former spouses are so far beyond reasonable. At this point that any kind of amicable agreement seems impossible, Willow is convinced Michael is a terrible person who shot Drew, even though she shot Drew, and Michael is convinced Willow is dangerous and unstable, which, to be fair, she kind of is at this point, given that she shot someone and is now gloating about it while controlling his medical care. What said what so what was what is what is what wife. The Willow and Drew dynamic is fascinating in the most horrifying way possible because she's his nurse. She has access to him. She's making declarations about how she's in charge now and his days of controlling her are over. But what does that even mean in practical terms? Is she going to withhold medical care? Is she going to do something to hurt him further? Is she going to use her position to extract some kind of confession or leverage against him? General Hospital spoilers say Willow will remain in charge of Drew's care, which seems like a massive ethical violation on multiple levels. But this is Port Charles, where professional boundaries are more like gentle suggestions than actual rules, and hospitals apparently let people care for patients they have personal vendettas against without any oversight whatsoever. Shocking news could come from this arrangement according to the spoilers, and honestly, shocking feels like an understatement when you've got someone who literally shot another person now in control of that person's medical treatment. It's like putting the arsonist in charge of the fire department when he's understated, which to it regret that his thing's in one heaven ace. And what about the key? The key. Willow planted it on Michael's keychain, this little piece of metal that's supposed to unlock Drew's house, and now it's sitting there in evidence, or in Chase's possession, and he's looking pensive about it, because presumably he's trying to figure out how Michael would have a key to Drew's house. Why Michael would have that key? What it means in terms of the investigation. Chase is methodical, he's thorough, and he's going to follow this evidence wherever it leads, even if it leads to Michael, even if it creates tension with his partner Dante, who has his own complicated feelings about the case, because Michael is family, Dante is Michael's brother, and how do you investigate your own brother for attempted murder? How do you remain objective when family is involved? You can't really, that's the answer. You can't fully separate your personal feelings from your professional duties, which is why Dante is probably getting into arguments and pushing back against people and demanding to know how far they think they can push him because he's being pulled in 17 different directions. Simultaneously, B. No stews. This stew is a denoted business two of tongues do one main. Now previous equals a business equal one. The Nas says, I day B. No stew Dewton BB. Short sentence. Pressure mounting. Everyone cracking. Brooklyn supporting Michael makes perfect sense because those two have this bond, this understanding that goes back years they've been through. So much together, and she can see through his walls, see when he's scared, even when he's trying to maintain that Corinthos stoicism, that family trademark of never showing weakness. Michael opening up to Brooklyn about his doubts and fears, and the murky future with Willow is probably one of the few genuine moments of vulnerability he'll have, because he can't show that to Jacinda. Not yet. She's already worried their relationship is too fragile, and he can't show it to his family. Not fully, because they're all dealing with their own crises, and he needs to be strong for them. Brooklyn, though she's safe, she's someone he can actually talk to without judgment, without expectations, and when she asks him directly if he thinks he's going to be arrested, he doesn't have to pretend, he doesn't have to put on a brave face, he can just be honest about how terrified he actually is. Buddy one of the cord to write it in, and times of con. What happens if Michael does get arrested, though? Let's play this out hypothetically, because if Chase follows the evidence, if that key leads to Michael being charged with shooting Drew, then Michael loses everything, doesn't he? He loses custody of his kids because you can't exactly fight for custody from jail or while under indictment for attempted murder. The judge is going to look at that and say, absolutely not. Those children cannot be in the care of someone facing serious criminal charges. And Willow wins by default. She gets full custody. She gets everything she wanted. And Michael's worst nightmare comes true. Unless someone figures out the truth. Unless someone discovers that Willow was the actual shooter, that she planted evidence, that she's been manipulating the investigation from the beginning. But who's going to figure that out and when? Because time is running out. The clock is ticking. And every day that passes is another day closer to Michael potentially being arrested. Ticks 20 says day. Curtis is the one who actually hired Selena to have Drew killed. That's what the flashbacks revealed back in December when Nathan was questioning him, and Curtis was remembering his meeting at the Savoy where he said, I want Drew Kane dead tonight, those exact words. Jordan gave him an alibi, said they were together at the Brown Dog, even though Curtis had already admitted to being at the Savoy for paperwork, so Jordan is lying for him, covering for him, protecting him, even though they're heading for divorce, even though their relationship is falling apart. She's still willing to put herself on the line for him. Why, though? What does Jordan get out of covering for Curtis except potential criminal charges herself for providing a false alibi for obstruction of justice? Love makes people do stupid things, incredibly stupid self-destructive things, and Jordan is no exception. She loves Curtis, despite everything, despite the divorce, despite the pain, and she's making choices that could destroy her career, her reputation, her freedom, all to protect him. Dozing needing, one in the ways, and I and nod, one in the ways been, these been always been, all those are 60s, ones are 60s by